life could be very strange and very, very hard and very cruel. And suddenly, you know, the parents came to me and said, in a very strange way, why did you do that? And I didn't know why. Or you have been lying. That was the most difficult thing. They didn't know I had been lying because I mixed things.
So the things you said were real to you, but maybe
yes.
hadn't actually taken place. And,
but yes, exactly,
yeah.
exactly. And you know, I was very interested in the death, and I was very interested in fairy tales and cruel fairy tales, and in music and in pictures around me. Some the old-fashioned painted in Italian, or very, very interesting. But then later, when I wanted to be free, when I wanted to live my own life, and my parents wanted me to do things, to obey, to discipline me, to learn me the laws of the society, I didn't want to, and I revolted, and I went from home when I was 18 years old, and then I stayed away. Since that day, I stayed away from home.
Did you never contact your parents again?
Yes, after 5 years I contacted them, but it took about 20 years before we were, then, you know, I think I grew up and matured, and suddenly the parents were no parents anymore. They were human beings, and as you know, it's changing, yeah. Isn't it? They were human beings, and I loved them because they were not my parents. They were human beings.
See, that's interesting. We'll pause for just a minute, and then we'll come right back. We were just laughing because I had said The Seventh Veil earlier, which is quite an un-Bergman-esque movie.
Oh, I like very much to see that you two were a little bit nervous.
Yes, I was. Now that I find you're human, I'm fine. I'll try not to say Ingrid Bergman now, and everything will work out nicely. Your first film was The Prison. I don't know if you called it The Prison.
Yes, it's The Prison. It was not my first film, but it was my first film was on my own script. I made a lot of films on other scripts before, and this
so it was the first Ingmar Bergman film,
yes,
even though you'd worked in film before.
Yes.
What should we know about that? Most people probably have not had a chance to see that.
Oh, it is a very bad picture.
Is it?
It's very bad, and you know, you can understand. I think I was 26 years old or 27 years old, and I wanted to put everything in this picture that I hadn't the opportunity to put in other pictures. So, you know, it is a mess of of different things in it, but I think it's just one part of it that is good. A very, very small part, about 1 or 2 minutes of it.
We have that part. Is there any more that we should know about it before we see it? What should we look for?
It doesn't mean anything, for heaven's sake. It's not symbolic. I think when I made it, it was very symbolic, but it isn't.
Here it comes.
And this, I had a projection machine, this one. I had one when I was a boy, and I loved it very much, and I had a film like this. This is a reconstruction of an early silent. And I had this one. And I liked it, and I wanted to reconstruct it, and I hired 3 acrobats to make it.
You shot that at normal speed, though, did you?
Yes.
Yeah.
And then we... And...
What year was this?
I think it was 46 or 47. Like that.
And the first time you ever saw a picture that moved was on Magic lantern machine?
It wasn't, but when I was 6 years old, I saw my first picture, and I remember it, still remember it. It was about a horse, and the name of the horse was Black Beauty.
Yes.
And I would like once in my life, again, if it would be possible, just to see that picture. And I think it would be, perhaps it would be possible to get it. It would be extremely interesting to see it again.
You've never seen it since?
No. And I still remember a lot of scenes and just pictures, frames out of this picture. And that may, I remember it was such an enormous experience. So I was ill a week after I had seen the picture.
From emotion?
Yes, from emotion. I had fever, and I had to go to bed, and I cried, and it was an enormous sensation. And then it took 2 years before I saw the next picture. But in that time, my brother, to my enormous disappointment, get as Christmas present a projection machine like this,
The magic lantern?
Yes, with small films.
A toy projector.
Yes. And
was he older?
He was 4 years older.
Oh.
And that was terrible, The whole Christmas was absolutely gone. And I was crying, and I was unhappy, and then he was not interested at all in picture making. Or in the movies. He was interested in seeing soldiers. So the same evening, I sold my whole army to him and got the projector, So we both were very happy. And then I think my career as a film director started at that moment.
We'll be right back. Talking with Ingmar Bergman and B.B. Anderson will be joining us shortly. I have a feeling that you see things much differently from other people, and that you probably see things much better and much more intensely, and that maybe you were actually born with something different in your senses. Maybe not. But when you describe something, when we talk about your senses, I'll get this question out in a minute. It's a question about drugs. A lot of people today take drugs because it intensifies their feeling. And one of the reasons they take them, they say, is, I want to see things the way an artist sees them. Have you ever been curious about drugs to see if they would make you see things differently because you are so interested in visual things?
No, I don't use a sleeping pill. And even less drugs, because it would scare me to death. Because it's enough as it is for me. It's more than enough for me, and that I have such a lot of impressions the whole time, and I have to computerize them the whole time, and and to put them into order. So I must be very careful with my impressions. And I think it's because of that I don't want to go abroad, because it's too much impressions always.